right, should we
Good
let's
morning,
get
everybody.
cracking?
Good morning, good morning, good morning. So let's talk a little bit of AI for a couple of minutes then, right? So I went and got the
AI,
TradingView MC
AI.
MCP connection, right?
Yep.
And you don't need to answer this now. This is something I need to go off and work out. Like the difference between an MCP or an API. Maybe they're the same things, right? But they're not so important at the moment, right? So I went and found out what can Claude actually do with TradingView. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got Claude open and I got TradingView open and nothing happened, right? And I was like, what the fuck?
Mm.
Turns out that Claude needs to open the desktop app of TradingView so
Mm.
that it's then got this communication thing. If you've got a browser tab open with TradingView as well, then it confuses Claude. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So before you even start, you're in this world of like there's glue on the floor. Can't do this, can't do that. So
Yep.
then you get Claude open, right? And you get it into TradingView. Then it just acts a total dick. Oh, I can't do diagonal lines. Oh, I can't do this. Oh, I
Mm-hmm.
can't
Mm-hmm.
do that, right? So I got fed up with it. So the first thing I did is I wrote a document of the rules of what it could do. And then I was like, well, I know in the real world that you're rubbish at this, so you're not doing that anymore. And then I added that as a PDF to the project itself. And it was all still kind of a bit slow and a bit clunky and everything. Then I just kind of naturally moved on to skills. And it was a case of saying, all right, Claude, I've already got this thing and I've got this thing, but it does these dick moves. How can I get it? And it was like, well, I'll tidy the document up. Then we can have a skill. Then the skill will kick in. And I was like, well, that sounds good. And it just saves a little bit of time because the skill simply forces Claude to not be lazy.
Mm-hmm.
That's what a skill does. So it'll read that trading view thing. And for all the technology and the wonders in the world and everything, the bastard draws me horizontal lines and puts some text on there. And that's it. That is really all I use that trading view MCP for because it's just rubbish.
I'll answer what that MCP and API. But I just want to say thanks, Todd. I don't know, like it's not Father's Day here in Australia, so it's I think it's Father's Day in the US, isn't it? So happy Father's Day.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Go
thanks, guys.
birth an AI.
Oh man. All right, quickly. API between what's an API and what's an MCP, right? So
Mhm.
API is it is like is the interface that the software creator has to create, right?
Right.
To communicate with the software itself. So it gives some parameters, says you could do this, you could do this, you could do this, you could do this. And then that API is basically the exposure to the real world. And you can actually interact via software, via code, right? Like you can, and that's an API.
Right.
Now, any AI right now will be able to interact with the API just by voice. You know what I mean? Like if you tell Claude, could you actually check the API of this Binance or Bybit? Let's talk about trading. Could you check the API of Bybit and understand it fully? Claude was gonna go and get the documentation. Then. This is how I do things. Bam, 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 bam. All right, and you can actually save it, and you can say, all right, you can create a skill out of it. Now, because Claude understands your API, it creates a skill, and then next time you have to train it a little bit and says, place an order, place a stop loss, do this, do that, and then if it goes well, then you create a skill out of it. Period. Right? So
Mhm.
MCP is kind of that, but people have created like an MCP is a communication between agents, between AIs, right? So imagine now that you created your own MCP, you created those skills, and you basically are saying an AI, hey, if you buy, if I when I'm telling you to buy, then you have to go and check this API, set up, and then check, and then do this, and then that. That's how you actually create an order, right? You can actually save that and encapsulate that into sort of like an MCP server, put it
Mhm.
somewhere, and you basically created an AI that interacts with another AI, right? So it's an interaction of AI. So now,
Mhm.
let's say instead of giving Claude the API, you actually give Claude the MCP server that you created, right? And now Claude says it's going to talk to the MCP instead of the API, which already knows how to operate with different things. So that's the main difference between MCP. So depends of the quality of the MCP or who created the MCP will be the best results out of it. So I tend to not use MCPs. Why? Because of that, right? Because you don't know what the AI is going to do. You basically interact. It's easier once you understand if there is an API, right? Then it's very easy for Claude or any AI to grab those details and interact with it. Now it's the same thing as it's actually better as an MCP because you do have some control of what things are able to do or not. All right. Now the problem is when it's not an API. TradingView doesn't have fucking API, right? So the MCP that is doing is actually browser control, right? So there's a lot of limitations in terms of how it controls the app, the windows, the things, so it gets challenging. So that's why it might not do the things that you want to do, right? So you have to ask yourself why, like, what do you want to do with it, right? Like, why do you want to control TradingView, right? Maybe you have all the more efficient ways to control TradingView or things like that. But that's the main difference, just to give you a glimpse of what's the difference of an API and an MCP. So I only go for MCPs when it's no API. You can actually do much better in terms of quality of work that your agent or your AI is going to do by understanding the full API.
Gotcha.
That's why. And another thing with MCPs, and it will use a lot of tokens. Why? So imagine that your Claude talking to an MCP and they start communicating, hey, I need to do this. And the other one, do you know? No, I don't know. I mean, but maybe, try, but do. But then they try to solve that problem between them and then to get them together. So that's going to generate a lot of token usage, right? Because you don't know how effective that communication works. With an API, because you already sort of train it, it's very effective. Do this, bang. Do that, bang. Something fell, okay, let me recheck the API. Easy. You know what I mean? Like you can create sort of your own MCP, and then out of that you create a skill that actually makes it better, make it easier to understand. So
very nice. Well, I actually got so fed up with that TradingView MCP and creating skills at the weekend took such a long time that it's not finished yet. I've got to the milestone, which means I've got the first thing working, right?
Yeah.
But I created a website that is nothing more than a series of dots that move in a table that represent my watch list.
Okay.
So it's not to replace anything. It's so I can open up the website on a daily basis and it's updated live prices from my Notion from the CoinGecko thing that's in Claude, which means at a glance, I can see my entire watch list. And then I can click on it and a little pop-up box comes and it tells me a bit more of the information. It's not a replacement. It's not a novelty. It's just a glance chart.
Cool. Interesting. And
Yeah.
that's basically sometimes what I want to clarify because Todd, TradingView mentioned that it does have an API, but want to clarify what type of API you're talking about because they do have an API, right? But it doesn't have an API to control the software itself, unless I'm mistaken, and unless TradingView has evolved. But please correct me if I'm wrong or right, please.
I'd love to be wrong on this. Marlon's got a good question about it's probably a joke. It can be difficult to pick up content sometime about we'll need data science and an IT department to trade. The fun thing about that is that we've already got it in Claude, but you still have to be able to. I know this will sound like one of those things. It's like you still got to know what you're doing. Like I use Claude for position sizing and stuff like this, and I was doing this link trade, and it was showing me stuff, and I was thinking this just doesn't smell right. You know what I mean? And then what I say to Claude is I just say, look, I don't believe you.
Yeah, yeah, you're talking about that's a webhook. All right. That's just a webhook. We're talking about using TradingView, yeah, using TradingView to actually using an MCP or something to actually, let's say, do the analysis that we do, draw a line, do these, add indicators, stuff like that. That is the yeah. So just clarifying that a webhook is a different thing of adding adding the tickers, all that sort of stuff that we do with TradingView, so to speak, right? Creating alerts, yeah, anyway, but let's get cracking because
Let's
obviously
get into it.
we can actually talk. Yeah, it's mind blowing what
Right. Well,
AI can do.
I can't claim credit for it, but these
All right.
3 lines with the text, Claude did them. Oh,
All right,
all
interesting. All
right.
right, cool.
So the weekly view then, because it's nice and easy to see. Okay. Look at the amount of price action, traffic, human beings that are in this area here. Okay. And we are in the process of, we haven't done it yet, in turning the 2021 all-time high into a new resistance, which is pretty important if you look back
Mm,
here, the way this served as a resistance, woof, before we kind of blew off top. So we've been through this I'm just going to say potential double bottom. I mean, if I had my own exact classification of a double bottom, I wouldn't have to say that. It's just
mm,
that they're not something that I'm like, oh, yes, look, there's a double bottom, a one-to-one measured move. It's like something I know of, okay? But it turns out that that was kind of the distance of the one-to-one measured move. And I mean, that's a fairly comprehensive rejection from the 82 500. We went from the top right past this liquidity zone. And anybody wondering this liquidity zone? So the way that I draw them is I just do them by eye. I just kind of look, well, where's the kind of top cluster and where's the sort of most in the middle cluster. That's how I do them, and I find them really a really helpful visual. Now you see I've got a couple of black lines here. So what I did is I gone back to the daily just to zoom in a little bit. And I drew those black lines just because really, like that's halfway there is like roughly halfway in that possible range, possible channel. So we're not even halfway there yet. So I'm still sniffing weakness here. I'm not seeing strength. We've had a small bounce. We kind of made it halfway back up where we come from, but not convincingly. And if we daily close today inside these two black lines, then I think we start to kind of float from here. And just to jump quickly, because I did this one independently, I don't anybody to think there was a trade and that they missed it or whatever. This link trade I took because basically the same thing is happening, right? Look at that. You could have traded that for a year and a half. Could have traded that trading range for a year and a half, okay? And now the same thing is happening after all of this time. Now we are right back. Oh, that's on the weekly. There we go. Now we are right back where we were. So what I did was I like to wait for a weekly close, then I like to get an entry on the daily, which is completely different from Maurizio's stuff. I do use the open interest to get myself there. Blue line is my entry. My stop is very generous up there as well. But overall, I'm very happy with that trade. And I think there's a 10-hour target. No, not 10-hour, Ian. 5-hour target if we get to the bottom of the channel as it currently stands. So that's the actual work output from all of that sort of clawed this, clawed that nonsense.
All right, so let's start cracking. And thanks, Todd. I'll definitely, that's useful information. I'll check it out.
Pop that in the
So
group, Todd, and then I'll chase it up as well. Because, like, man, if this works better than what mine does, then fucking fair play. I'm all over it. Have advanced info. Todd's got a man on the inside.
yeah, it's one of those things we were talking about with Ian earlier. Like, it's one of those things is what do you want to use it for? Like, all right, so let's get cracking. I don't have much, to be honest. Market hasn't moved much. I don't see. I kind of agree with Ian in terms of strength. I don't see a strength. I don't see anything, right? Why? Like I don't. I've been looking around all morning in terms of price action, but everything doesn't look there yet. So where we at in terms of let's start with the weekly, right? So weekly, I think Ian made a really good point in terms of that level right there. If like something that I want to see in terms of strength, right, is reclaiming that 60, in my view, is 60, 65 area. As you can actually see, that's been sort of the holding area right there. Okay, so that's what I want to see to have that momentum towards the upside, right? Otherwise, yeah, I think then the next possibility will be to retrigger lows here on the 60,000. If we break 60, obviously we're going lower. So that's basically what I'm looking for. I'm looking for evidence that we do have a strain, do have buyers at this area, right? Period. So with that being said, like if we go to the daily, right? From the daily, obviously for the last 2 days, this is Saturday and Sunday. Saturday looks good. Sunday, at least, it's not huge movements. That could be seen as there's a lot. We still have that deal with Iran panning out in terms of, I think it's 60 days or something like that that they agreed to things. So probably there's a lot of indecision there. Probably I'm just making things up, to be honest. I'm not seeing any, reaction out of that. So what I mean reaction to either one, like everybody's sort of holding, not selling, not buying. It's like, okay, let's see what happens, right? And probably I'm seeing a little bit more evidence on that. Like if I look at IBIT, so IBIT, I sort of like it. Like this is at the as you can see, this is kind of like lower bottom, like two bottoms right here. So I'm keeping an eye on IBIT because obviously if we start seeing a little bit of uptrend here, that means that we have inflow, right, on ETFs, and that's going to pump the market. I don't know if you guys watched the video on Friday, but on Friday, MSTR, which is very important in terms of Bitcoin, because they are big buyers, right? If they're not buying, they tend to move the market. They tend to do that, and is at the lowest lows that it has been since August 2024, right? So I'm watching this closely. They usually sort of start releasing buys towards the end of the like midweeks or something. So I'm very cautious of this. We are at a good place to buy technically, but still very, very, yeah, that's what I'm tracking, right? I'm not seeing any strain whatsoever. And if we let me just if we go and watch open interest and things like that, in terms of CBD volume, right? I'm not seeing bias, right? I'm not seeing bias, right? We did talk about this level here. That was the level that I've been talking about right here, the 64, and then we dump out of it. And as you can see, that level has sort of become resistance, right? Like very clear resistance right there, very clear resistance. You do have a lot of open interest sort of started opening here. So it looks like there's shorts being opened. right? It looks like it. I cannot actually say if it's shorts or not. I'm just, looking by how the market is uh, reacting, how the price action reacts of open interest, right? You can actually see open interest increasing here as market starts moving lower. But there is, yeah, this hard to read, very hard to read, so I'm not going to, yeah, I don't know, to be honest. Like, is this shorts opening? Is this short closing? Is this new longs opening? So it doesn't give me anything. Like, I'm not seeing anything. The only thing that I don't see is strength, right? I want to see a little bit more CVD coming through here, right? In order for me to say, okay, fuck, let's add into positions, let's get into more to the upside. So yeah, that's basically where I'm at, guys. With something as well that I'm monitoring is the dollar strength, right? So dollar strength has been pushing towards the upside. That could be seen as a risk off kind of thing, like when the dollar gets a lot of strength, a lot of the risk assets might not follow through. So with that being said, what other indications of risk assets do we have? So we have Root, the Russell, which surprisingly is actually looking pretty good. That this is kind of all-time highs, right? All-time highs. So that looks good. That's sustained. S&P 500 still looks pretty good. So I'm still looking to buy when I see the strength. That's basically what I'm saying. With the dominance, right? With the dominance still undecided. You can actually see that we can either, this is like 50-50. Toss a coin and maybe we'll go up here, maybe it will come down here. Ideally, if we want to get long, right, we want to see this dropping. That means, stables are going into assets. Which assets? Who knows? But that's basically the first indication that we're going to start seeing a little bit of strength, right? So, yeah, to either direction, and if we apply the inverted scale, it looks the same,
Yay, we haven't
right?
inverted for a while.
I know, but you know what I mean? Like, it looks fucking the same, man. Like, think about it from the perspective, it could go both ways. I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not sort of, where do you go with the inverse scale? All right, yeah. See, it looks like the same. So yeah, I guess I'm gonna have to wait. I guess either I want to go long again when we actually drop, right? If we drop and we see buyers popping in, because that's what we need in order for the market to move, right? Either market starts moving up quickly, gets all the shorts liquidated and starts moving up. People think, oh, fuck, a strength. And then at least we're going to retest this 73 area, or we're going to get that dump down, right? Another liquidation here to the lows, new buyers popping in, saying bam, 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 and that could be a really interesting. Oh, obviously, if we get that dump, right, the risk, need to watch the risk, because you're playing the bottom, you're playing like, that level there. So yeah, we're still on a sort of daily bear trend, call it that way. We're still a little bit bearish. So yeah, that's in essence. I don't see any fucking strength, man. Like Ethereum, same thing. Solana, same thing. Solana is the only one that is giving me a little bit here. Like, it looks interesting, right? And BNB is not giving me anything. So yeah, that's basically where we at. On good news, oil is been dropping, like Trump predicted it's gonna drop. But I'm still watching this to play out, right? We've been talking about the correlation between oil and Bitcoin. obviously when things are is like when oil sort of gets more stable, right? I'm not saying in terms of price, I'm saying on stability, because obviously gauging what price it could look like, we don't know. But when I'm looking is stability. So something like this, right? So market starts going low, right? It now starts sort of getting stable, and then Bitcoin or risk assets should pick up. This is just a something that happened historical, but that doesn't mean it needs to happen again. But something that I'm watching. Okay, so this is kind of my gauge, and it could take weeks. And we do have, we do have this agreement that is going to take like I don't know 60 days. Correct me if I'm wrong. So yeah, that's basically where I'm at, guys. In terms of our positions, right? Let's go back to our positions because, yeah. All right, let's talk about Ondo. We just took Ondo. Fucking, it's not working well. I'm still holding, right? It's kind of like if we look at the spaghetti charts, is sort of on the stronger side of things. So on any pickup, when the market starts picking up, then I'm expecting Ondo to give us a really good one. I'm still watching for NIA, XLM. INJ is not my favorite yet. This is the ones that I'm watching closely. In terms of Ethereum betas, I'm watching for Uni and ENA that are sort of on the top side. Alt, SSB, Metis, all this thing is very fucking volatile. But Uni, ENA, there's some interesting things happening. In terms of AI, obviously, WorldCoin is doing really well. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Something that I'm watching as well very closely is how Hype will perform, because Hype is the strongest thing. If Hype starts going, start losing its mojo, I think everything is going to lose its mojo, sort of deal. There's nothing happening on memes. So yeah, you can actually see this, to see where sort of capital is going. So with that being said, going into our positions, still holding this one. I was going to take some profits, but it's been holding quite good. This thing has been, I think it could go higher. There's no risk. Obviously, will be a shame if we retrace, but then I'm thinking about probably getting 30% out of it and reload if we ever got a pullback. With Lit, still holding. I haven't touched this position whatsoever. If you want, you can move the stop loss, but I'm thinking that this one is being really interesting from the price perspective. XPL is doing my head in. It did well. Now it's sort of retracing, but that's XPL is very volatile. So I'm still holding this one. And Ondo is the one that I don't like. Either get out here, but yeah, we'll have the stop loss right below this area right here. So this is the one that I'm sort of anyway. Besides that, watching all the AI stuff, still watching VVV, still watching AKT. Neil, those are my favorites in terms of AI that I'm watching, and of course Tau, to get back into Tau as well. Arrow looks pretty good. This is the trade that I was looking to get on last week. I haven't pulled the trigger yet because I'm not seeing the strength. So obviously, that I only took Ondo as I was seeing a little bit more strength, but if that's basically where I'm at in terms of all the things that I'm watching. So yeah, I think that's it, guys. I don't have much. There's nothing kind of going on in the markets right now. So that's basically where I'm at.
All right.
So any questions so far?
Well, we're in June now, and by my calculations, this bear market is about 70% of the way through.
70%. Yeah. I do agree. We start seeing those glimpses of changing trend. So that's why I like Arrow. So Aero is being, and that's kind of what the market moves, and it's kind of looking that is changing its uptrend like this, right? And this is kind of where we want to sort of load and have continuation towards the upside. So these are the ones that I really want to focus on. Obviously, XPL is very far from the uptrend sort of deal, right? But if we like, this is the riskiest, but this is the ones that actually pay the most, right? Same thing like WorldCoin. WorldCoin, we took it here, right? This is kind of the same setup, but it does have a narrative behind it, right? And the narrative played out, right? And now, right, it's changing hands in a way, changing it's so if we have this one and if we have that pullback, I think I'm gonna add more there. And it does have a lot of potential because the narrative is playing out, man. There is a lot of things happening in AI. There is a lot of fucking IPOs happening, Anthropic now, OpenAI, now all this sort of stuff. So it's looking okay from that perspective. So I might take some profits out of here again and then reload with more. So same thing with JST. Look at this thing. This is this trade. We still have a little bit of open here. So you know we had good ones and on a fucking bear market. So yeah, obviously we have stopped out on some of them as well, but it's part of what getting position. That's the risk of getting position on this type of markets. Or either you wait until Bitcoin reclaims, right, and then you'll be sort of like only playing that area, which is fair enough. And then you know you don't gonna get stopped out that much. So yeah, so many. That's basically what I'm seeing at the moment. A lot of scalping opportunities, definitely a lot of very short term things like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I think Todd's got to be really happy with that how, because the market has been volatile. But yeah, in terms of positioning long term, that's basically what I'm seeing, guys. Yeah, I'm not seeing much, unfortunately.
Right. So what I'm seeing in the future is cheaper prices because I think that there's always cheaper prices to come. I think the temptation is, this thing of, oh, it's the bottom, we're at the bottom, we're at the bottom, if you know what I mean. The next bull run's happening. And I think these things always take longer and they kind of peter out more over time. So if you take any play that you've got a high conviction about, so let's say hype, for example, right? Will $9 hype be available again? Don't know. You know what I mean? Will
Mm,
hype be cheaper than its current price now before we go back into a bull run? I feel a bit I feel a bit better about that. I feel that it will be cheaper. Whether it goes as low as $9, I don't know. But any high conviction play, it's probably going to be early 2027 that I'm going to really start to think about what I'm accumulating.
mm,
And there ain't going to be that many this time round. Because last time round, I picked like sort of 10, but I think I'm only going to pick about five this time. Like I had a portfolio where like five was Sol and stuff like that, and then five was actually WLD and a couple of other sort of riskier plays. I've still got my
mm.
bag at WLD. I still believe in it, so I decided not to sell the bag. Or I was just doing that thing where where you fool yourself. So what I'm looking to do is take the shorts, big shorts like that link one, look for opportunities like that link trading range to just try and
Mm,
harvest money. Doesn't mean that it will repeat, but history does tend to rhyme a little
hmm.
bit. And then think to myself, okay, what would I like to have more of? Well, I'd like to have more of hype.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. Like hype, I think is one of it has been proven and it has a lot of potential. So that's why it's very hard to put a price that says, oh, should is the price going to come down to this level? We have no idea. That's something that I try not to marry with. That's why I look at levels and I look at the reaction of those levels and technically I don't care about price because that you know what I mean? Like if you see a lot of buyers, like let's say hype comes down to 50, right?
Mhm.
And you're expecting, I don't know, 10. that might never happen. And then from 50 goes to 1,000 and say, fuck, why? You know, that happened to me and it still happens to me. That happened to me in fucking VVV. I still, I still have a fucking PTSD of VVV because I watched it. I watched it and I was looking for the $5 area. I didn't buy it and now it's fucking, it went to
Mm.
20, right? And hard to, you know what I mean? It's one of those things. So
It
it's
is.
yeah,
It's like if you were to say, I think the price of Bitcoin coin is going to continue to drop, but I'm also happy to buy it at this level as well. And we did that
definitely.
risk to reward thing the other day. So it's like if the price of hype starts coming down and I look at the price action, then I'll think to myself, well, okay, then I don't need to try and be clever. I don't need to hit the bottom. You know what I mean? I just keep buying a little bit as prices coming down. Then the
Mm,
bottom will make itself obvious. You know, it will make itself obvious because prices just won't move anymore. And then you could buy a little bit more, and then you're set. Then your business is done. Then
yeah.
you know. It really is. And then you could trade hype as well, like swing it, so there's different ways to build an allocation that you own is what
Yeah.
is what I'm saying, which isn't the remit of the 100x club. That's the thing. It's like we do come
Yeah.
on here and talk about lots of things that are absolutely nothing to do with this club, if you know what I mean. Like Maurizio finds the trades, does the trades. That's why they've hardly got any price action because it's narrative, it's new, it's high
Mm.
risk, and the appropriate risk management is applied. And I suppose I'm talking about more, I don't know, general
Uh,
trading, I suppose would be the
yeah.
phrase that I
It
use.
depends what the type of strategy that you use. You know, obviously the longer term is a different positioning than trading per se, right? And that's it. I think it's just having clarity of what we're looking for. Sometimes we get it right, sometimes we don't. It's one of those things, right? AI has helped a lot in terms of looking where the narrative is, what people are talking about in Twitter, what are they, because Twitter is sort of what, if there's a new narrative coming through, and I have my bots running,
Now,
just
is a good question, right? Let's let's
having
let's
information.
talk more.
But before that, let me ask Donna. Let me answer Donna. Sorry, Donna. VVV. Okay, VVV is a company called Venice AI. All right, you can check it out. VVV is the token of Venice AI. Now, Venice AI is a AI company that you can use any model that they host. Right, it's an infrastructure company per se, right? I use it. I use it personally. It's a great way to use any model, any AI model. You can use Anthropics, you can use OpenAI, you can use Chinese ones, you can use anything, as long because they sort of hosting the AI's FOIA, right? The interesting thing about that, the VVV, is that they sort of take away the privacy, like it's private. When you talk to Claude, when you talk to OpenAI, it's gathering, pretty much it's tracking everything that they're doing, right? And it's saving it to improve their models. With VVV, sort of takes that privacy layer, does that put the privacy layer in, but also it has models that are uncensored. That's huge in the AI world, because sometimes, if let's say you talk to Anthropic and they tells you, I cannot trade for you, or that's not my job, or things like that, that's guardrails, right? uh Venice does have other, you can use it for bad things as well, right? You have good things and bad things. And on top of that, if you stake VVV, they give you usage. Right now, for instance, with Claude, you have to either go into Max Plan or something to actually get the tokens usage. And you cannot actually use any API tokens and things like that. With VVV, let's say you bought $1,000 worth of VVV tokens, you stake that, and every month you basically get usage for free. Not for free, you basically stake in it. It's not like, and the higher the VVV price goes, the less usage you get, because the more valuable it becomes. So it was really good when it was around $2 or $3. That's why I like VVV. Can that can that be risky? Well, it's an AI. It's a decentralized AI sort of infrastructure company. but it does have good revenue, it does have usage, and it does have a lot of different things. So I hope that make, you know what I mean? That's the back end. Use it. Go check it out. Benny's AI. I think it's great, man. I think that what they've done is, but it's still new. If something goes wrong with the company, then obviously PPV is gonna crash, right? Same thing that happened with Humanity AI. It crashed like 80%. So there's risk involved, right, on that. So, but yeah, that's just to to
So there's a number of points here that are worth discussing. One could go a bit fantasy, so I'll touch on it lightly. And it's like what you just said with VVV. To me, what you just said with VVV, even though it's not brand new, it's profound for humanity. Because like if you work full time in this digital world and you're doing crypto and stuff like that, well, it's like, why should I pay monthly fees on things when I can trade them and stake their coin? And it's like a whole different new way to pay your software bills. It's
man,
like a,
that's what,
you
you
know,
know.
it's
I
the
got
future
some,
right there.
I got some VVV a while back for, and I'm using it as usage. I should have, you know what I mean? Like, anyway, but yeah,
Mm,
that kind is a good, it's a really, like, it's a company that has a really good sort of staking rewards, right? Not only on, it gives you usage, and right now usage is expensive. Fucking is expensive with AI, man, and it's
mm,
going to get worse, right? So you know what I mean. In terms of long-term proposition, I
mm,
think is good from that perspective. Basically, they you own the infrastructure in when they run the models. You know what I
mm,
mean? Like that's
mm.
what the company is all about. Think about the
Absolutely.
infrastructure, right? So now, coming back to your question, what was the question that you were gonna ask?
Um, yeah, it's a learning question, right? So tokenized stocks.
Mm-hmm.
The answer is kind of in the phrase tokenized stocks, right? But what does that actually mean beyond the
Mm-hmm.
obvious? And they're now on hyper liquid
Mm-hmm.
because you put out a notice to YF10 members to say don't
Yep.
trade the
Yep.
the the
Yep.
the, the tokenized stuff. So I thought we might just bullshit about them for a bit, what they
Yep.
are, what their impact might be, are we going to trade them, yada yada.
Yeah. No, we're not gonna trade it. Unless we do have an edge for trading them. You know what I mean? I don't have an edge in stocks. Stocks is a different game, man.
Mm,
My game was Forex before crypto. So to be honest, stocks, you could apply momentum techniques, stuff like that. How effective are they? I don't know. It's not, I don't see it. It's just in stock. Is the thing that's going to do with the stocks, what I see is a lot of more volatility, because now the like, let's say, to buy stocks, right? The game is a little bit up there because the fees are bigger. The people need to open an account with the bank or stuff like that. Is the not everybody owns stocks.
mm,
Yeah, Robinhood, all those stuffs actually make it easier. But now all the crypto people, they want to own stocks. You know what I mean? Because they're safe, right? The companies and stuff like that. So it's going to create more volume and it's going to help out. Think about it from the perspective. It's going to create more volume. It's going to sustain this S&P 500 even more. If the S&P 500 will exist in the future, who the fuck knows? But you know what I mean? The only trouble that I don't know yet, I need to do more research, is if you own stock, you own an asset, okay? And you could borrow against it, you can do anything, it's a way to create wealth long term. Now with tokenized stocks, I'm still not sure how you can actually take that asset and put it in a different broker or something. I don't think you can't. Um, but I think you could. I don't know, and I'm being I need to do more research on it. But if that proposition is there, I think it is a really good way to actually hold long term stuff on your stock. On, you know what I mean? Like, it's less fees, less stuff. But that's the whole point of owning a stock, right? Unless you trade. Like if you do trading, and if you do day trading or things like we do, and we don't hold things long term, yes, you know,
got ya.
that could be really good stuff. Yeah.
I got you. All right then. Well, the YFM education call is beckoning, so we'll have to
All
call it a
right.
day there. That was a really great session.
All right,
Thank you,
guys. Have
everybody.
a awesome day, and we'll see you next week.
Ta-da.